What if I told you that the terrifying tale of It, with its shape-shifting clown and haunting atmosphere, isn't as far from reality as you might think?
Pennywise, the dancing clown!
While Stephen King's It is fiction, the novel and its adaptations are rooted in real-world fears, events, and some spine-chilling inspirations. Today we're diving into the true story behind it. And trust me, it's just as unsettling as the novel itself. Let's start with the basics. It is about a malevolent entity that terrorizes the fictional town of Derry, Maine. Every 27 years, this creature, most famously known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, awakens to feed on the town's children. It thrives on fear, taking the form of whatever its victim dreads the most. While it is a supernatural story, its roots lie in the horrors of real life. Now, Stephen King didn't wake up one day and invent Pennywise out of nowhere. The idea of It and its horrifying clown persona was shaped by several real-world events and elements. Let's break them down. First on our list is John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer from the 1970s who became infamously known as the Killer Clown. Gacy performed as Pogo the Clown at children's parties and charity events, but behind the makeup was a man responsible for the gruesome murders of at least 33 young men and boys. Gacy would lure many of his victims from the streets, often targeting individuals at the Greyhound bus station or Bughouse Square. He would entice them with promises of a job at his contracting company, or offer them alcohol, drugs, or money in exchange for favors. In some cases, he posed as a police officer to gain their trust. Once he brought them to his home, he would perform what he called a magic trick, a routine he claimed to have learned as a clown, which ended with him handcuffing his victims. While Stephen King hasn't confirmed that Gacy directly inspired Pennywise, the parallels are hard to ignore. Both Gacy and Pennywise weaponize the clown's image, something meant to be fun and innocent to lure their victims. The idea of a smiling face hiding pure evil is at the heart of what makes Pennywise so terrifying. But why clowns? Why does Pennywise haunt our nightmares more than most horror villains? King has said he chose a clown because clowns are inherently unsettling. Think about it. Their painted smiles, exaggerated features, and unpredictable behavior can feel unnatural, especially to kids. This fear is so common that it has its own name, coulrophobia. King tapped into this widespread unease to create a villain that's impossible to forget. After all, who hasn't felt a little creeped out by a clown at some point? While John Wayne Gacy influenced the sinister nature of Pennywise, Ronald McDonald served as the inspiration for his appearance. Stephen King has mentioned in interviews that Ronald McDonald represents a figure of trust and familiarity for children, someone they naturally feel safe around. By crafting a horror character based on such a beloved icon, King introduced a disturbing contrast between comfort and fear, challenging perceptions of who or what children can trust. Although Ronald McDonald was not the primary inspiration for the novel, his distinctive look played a key role in shaping Pennywise's appearance. The setting of It, the fictional town of Derry, Maine, is another key element inspired by reality. King grew up in Durham, Maine, a small town where everyone knew each other's business. But like many small towns, it had its secrets. King has said that he wanted to explore the idea of a town with a dark history that its residents are too afraid or too complicit to acknowledge. Derry represents the idea that evil can exist right in front of us, hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. This theme is terrifying because it feels so real. We've all heard stories about small towns with hidden crimes, corruption, or tragedies. In It, the townspeople's silence enables Pennywise's reign of terror. Could the same be said about real-life horrors? The movie It Chapter 2 was also influenced by a true crime case. While Pennywise's character was drawn from Stephen King's imagination, a pivotal scene in the film was inspired by a real-life event that took place in Maine, where King lived at the time. Early in the movie, a gay man named Adrian Mellon is attacked by a group of bigoted teens at a carnival in Derry. Despite doing nothing to provoke them, the teens targeted him solely because of his sexuality. After brutally assaulting him, they threw him over a bridge. While the teens were responsible for his fate, it was Pennywise who ultimately killed him after he washed ashore. This chilling scene highlights both the senseless brutality of the teens and Pennywise's lurking evil. The moment was directly inspired by the 1984 murder of Charlie Howard in Bangor, Maine. In that case, 3 local teens, Daniel Ness, 17, Sean Mabry, 16, and James Francis Baines, 15, targeted Howard simply because he was gay. After assaulting him, they threw him off a bridge, where he drowned. The teens later pleaded guilty to manslaughter and served 4 years in juvenile detention. King, who was writing it at the time, felt compelled to include a version of this horrific event in his book, as it reflected the darker truths of his community. The screenwriter of it, Chapter 2, echoed this sentiment, explaining that the scene underscores how Derry had become a place of deep-rooted evil under Pennywise's influence, even during his hibernation. King himself has said it was important to address the event in his novel, stating, "It's our town, we live here," which means we have to live with Charlie and continue trying to make it right. Another layer to it is its exploration of childhood fears. Pennywise doesn't just haunt the Losers Club with generic scares. It preys on their deepest, most personal fears. This taps into something universal, the vulnerability of childhood. Stephen King has said that many of the Losers Club's experiences reflect his own childhood. Growing up, King often felt powerless and scared, just like his characters. And the story of It shows how those fears don't magically disappear when we grow up. They evolve, but they're always there, lurking beneath the surface. Another significant influence on Stephen King's It was the stranger danger panic of the 1980s. During this time, a wave of public fear swept through society as child abductions and murders seemed to rise alarmingly. This led to the popularization of the Stranger Danger campaign, bolstered by then-President Ronald Reagan's push for harsher criminal penalties against those who harm children. Reagan's administration placed family values and child safety at the forefront of its agenda, amplifying the public's fear of predators like John Wayne Gacy and other child murderers. Clowns with their face paint, rainbow suits, and wigs became symbolic of this fear. Their heavily disguised appearances rendered them unrecognizable, making even real clowns appear as potential strangers. Since clowns were common at children's birthday parties, the idea of a seemingly harmless entertainer turning out to be a dangerous stranger was a very real fear during this era. King's novel subtly reflects this cultural panic. Many scenes involving Pennywise play on the idea that he initially appears to the children as nothing more than a friendly party clown, embodying the ultimate betrayal of trust in strangers. The stranger danger hysteria of the 1980s undeniably served as a partial influence on the themes and atmosphere of It.
Do you want a balloon too, Georgie?
I'm not supposed to take stuff from strangers.
Oh, well, I'm Pennywise, the dancing clown. Pennywise? Yes, meet Georgie. Georgie, meet Pennywise. Now we aren't strangers, are we?
From the chilling story of John Wayne Gacy to the fears we all share, Stephen King created a masterpiece that speaks to the darkest corners of our minds. Pennywise might not be real, but the fear he represents certainly is. What do you think about the true inspirations behind it? Did you find them as fascinating and terrifying as I did? Please comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button. See you in the next video.
Where's my shoe?
Tasty, tasty, beautiful fear.